We're in.
OV Athletics STREAMcast.
STREAMcast. We're back after a small hiatus.
We're back. We got High Valley Nutrition with us.
They're back.
Hey, get your peanut butter cup. Get your brownie that's on the way. Milkshake. These are on the way. Get your protein powders. Get your vitamins. Get anything you need at High Valley Nutrition.
Yep.
They'll take care of you. St. Clairsville, Steubenville. Go online, check them out on their website. And they know what they're talking about, Zach.
Yep.
You go in there, you tell them what you want. You're looking to, gain a little muscle mass. They're going to get you some protein powder, some creatine. Maybe you're just looking to get healthy. The winter vitamins in you. The colds are still going around. They're going to set you up with all that stuff.
Yeah, be sure to check them out. I know we've been off for a little bit. Had some life. Sort of getting everybody. I took a vacation. Unlike a certain semi-co-host that takes vacations willy-nilly and has missed several STREAMcasts, but I'm not going to name any names or anybody. But
Here today.
he's back. He's back. Miami Tom. He took his talents to South Beach. Yeah. Miami Tom. There we go. Yeah.
So
I was thinking El Cubano.
My alias is
that's
Hector.
that's pretty good. Oh, another good one.
Yeah, but we're back. I know OV Athletics been to a ton of stuff in the last couple of weeks.
Zach,
Tons. Like we couldn't even do article of the week because there's been so many and so much stuff that we've been to, seen, done. Just really great work on the site. Yeah, be sure to check out the site right now. There's tons and tons of good content out there. I dipped my toe in the writing pool writing up a robotics tournament, which was fun for me to do. Kind of outside my comfort zone. I know you guys, OVAC, wrestling, swimming, everything.
Yeah, the OVACs are they're right in their peak season for their championships. So you have wrestling, swimming, bowling. They're all coming up. Basketball's coming up. Cheering's coming up. Was brought to my attention. Hey, you're gonna come to cheering? I said, yeah. Well, OV Athletics is going to be at the cheering championships too for the OVAC. That's events that we like to cover for you for the High Valley. Zach, as the OVACs are coming up, how about we get into some action?
Let's get into some action. Yeah. Let's get
so
in there.
How about the Wheeling Park girls basketball team that we talk about all the time? They improved to 13-1.
That's wild.
The latest polls coming out for the class Quad A, they were number 2 behind Spring Valley, but they did receive 7 first place votes. So with those 7 first place votes, second place, and these are writer polls, so they're not like the computer polls that football does, where they rank your opponents and everything. These are just media members, coming up with a poll, and ranking these teams. Everybody likes to see the polls.
Little opinionated, like the old coaches polls in college football, right? It's what people think, not necessarily the straight numbers.
Yeah, some of my favorites too. I like the polls and kind of see where teams are at, and then when you get matchups between teams too,
right.
You like those. Number 2 versus number 8, but you really like those. So Park welcomed Parkersburg up to the Palace on the Hill. And, they were able to get a victory, 83-68. Park led by 10 after a quarter. They led by 16 at the half. So they always had that double-digit lead, it seems like, throughout the game. And then they ended up winning decisively, by 15 there at the end. Just a strong team. I've seen them play a couple times. The pressure defense that they have is just unbelievable. They full court, half court trap, whatever they're doing, they just do a great job. And then their offense. You have Alexis Bordas in this game knocking down 7 3-pointers to lead the way with 23 points. She grabbed some boards too, Zach. I know you like to see that. She grabbed 5 rebounds. So you have 23 points and 5 rebounds. Lala Woods comes in, 18 points, and here you go. Another one of your scorers coming up with 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. What a stat line for Lala.
Well, and then the thing that's crazy about this is we talk about Wheeling Park week after week after week in their girls basketball team, and I've said it a lot that they're a deep team and they're going to start seeing contributors from some of those other people on that team, and that's what we saw this game too. We saw Natalie Doherty, who's contributed a lot this season, but then we see Merritt Delk, we see Sophie Abraham, we see a lot of these kids really starting to contribute, not just those big top scorers, but some of those people that not necessarily are bench players by any means, but haven't gotten their time in the spotlight, if you will.
Yeah, like you said, Doherty finished 14 points, 5 assists. Merritt Delk, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Sophie Abraham, 8 points, 6 rebounds. And then freshman Seneca Heller, 6 points, 7 boards, 4 steals, 2 assists. that's a heck of a stat line
That
for
is
a freshman.
yeah.
Actually, I ran into Seneca at a game, up at Sherrard, and just told her, it was fun watching her play, and just wished her good luck and everything. Hard player, and I couldn't say enough about her. Just plays hard, So Wheeling Park again. Getting ready now for those OVACs coming up, and these are great games. They're playing Parkersburg and then Cabell Midland and all these teams to prepare them not only for the OVAC tournament, where they'll see
Right.
some good competition, but also the state tournament. As I talked to Coach Young earlier in the season, they just loaded their schedule up knowing that they're trying to make a run and they needed some competition.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about, again, and I bring it up all the time, but with the fact that they're just so deep there. I mean, Merritt Delk, we're talking about her. I think this is the first time maybe we've talked about her all season. I normally associate her with, being out on the soccer pitch. I mean, she's an outstanding soccer player, too. So when I saw her name there, I was like, oh, my gosh, how did I not even know that she was playing? Mm-hmm. She's a fantastic young lady, too. She used to tease me a lot when I worked at Wheeling Middle. We did some engineering competitions where Triadelphia and Wheeling went head-to-head, and they always used to say they had the better Clem because my wife was working there at the time, so they liked picking on me for that one. So I always think of that when I hear Merritt's name, so awesome to see her contributing.
Yeah. Moving on, we have, I think I'm allowed to say this, the Battle of the Redskins. We have Monroe Central, and we have, or the Battle of the Native Americans, I guess.
I think
Monroe
you're
Central
gonna
Seminoles
get canceled,
and the
Jeff.
Caldwell Redskins. Monroe Central picks up the victory, 53-32. Monroe Central moves to 12-4 on the season. They're led by Haley Balmer's 10. I know we've mentioned her quite a few times this year. Riley Bettinger's 9 points. And then the Redskins, Katie Franklin, 17 points. Great game for her.
I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's more than half of their team's points, which, is impressive when you see that. When a team only scores 32 and you're seeing 17, that's more than half of what your team scored. That's fairly impressive to see, or stat line to see from a young lady there.
And, these teams, too, Monroe Central, Caldwell, they're getting ready. Those OVACs are coming up, with positioning, the matchups they're looking for, or even the consolation games, Zach.
Right.
They match you up against teams that similar records, similar size schools, maybe get you some people in the stands, maybe somebody you don't normally play. They try to get you some really good matchups in those OVAC consolations, too. Moving on a little bit, Zach. A little bit close to home to us, Morgantown, with a victory over John Marshall, 61-40. The Monarchs, had some victories. They were able to string a couple in a row. But the Mohegans, just a little too much for the Monarchs. Again, Zach, we always talk about it, the travel. That John Marshall going to Morgantown, having coached at John Marshall and traveling to Morgantown to play University. They're just long trips. You're on that bus and you get there and then you sit through the JV game and then you get to the varsity game. Sometimes that travel's a little tough on you.
There's a little bit of distraction there. But one thing to really remember with John Marshall is they're still a very young team. And you and I have talked about it a lot. Morgantown is one of the stronger teams in the state in terms of on the girls' side of things.
Definitely.
They're a very good team, and this is a very young John Marshall team still. So I don't really see this this loss as a huge crushing defeat for John Marshall, just because of the fact that they are so young and that they have a lot of really young talent that's going to start to develop a little bit. Yeah. And Morgantown's really outstanding too. So kudos to them. It's a tough slate for John Marshall, but I think they'll bounce back.
Yeah, they will. And if you check out ovathletics.com, John Marshall just traveled over to Union Local to play one of the best teams in the Valley, if not the best team in the Valley. And, they hung with them for a little bit. They were able to break the pressure a little bit. But if you go to ovathletics.com, you can check out that article.
See whether or not John Marshall rebounded.
Yeah. Ooh, that's pretty good, Zach. Wow. Your puns are punny. The Monarchs didn't quite make it into that top 4 for the OVAC, this season, but they're going to get some great consolation games, to prepare them for the tournament. Everybody makes it, Zach. In Ohio, West Virginia, everybody's going to make it. They got a pretty tough section, pretty tough region, but I think the way they're playing sometimes, they could pull out some victories. For the game, Caitlin Blake led John Marshall with 20 points, and then freshman Riley Storm and junior Kaylee Darrow each had 9 points for the Monarchs. Right. Kaylee's been playing great as of late. I got to see the Monarchs play a couple times, and she's playing some great basketball. One, she's a great athlete. Okay, she's a great kid, really coachable, and she's playing some really good basketball on the offensive, defensive side. And then Riley's Riley. She brings it to the floor,
right.
And she's just as a freshman, but she's a floor manager, and you could just see her sometimes. I think she's getting more comfortable in a role of maybe not their leader. I think I might push that off onto Lily Babicek a little bit. But Riley, a little bit like a floor manager or kind of almost like a coach out there, getting kids in position. I can just hear her on the floor. She talks a lot.
You know what I kind of feel like Riley's like. Tom will like this because I'm going hockey side here, but when they slap the C on somebody's chest and they give a couple alternates out, that's kind of what I feel like Riley's sort of developing into. Is right now she's their alternate. She's one of those people that'll be a captain eventually, but she's trending in that direction. And that's kind of the feel I get from her, from everything that I've seen from her and everything that I hear about her as well on the court.
And we talked about Riley and Kaylee, so let's go ahead and talk about Caitlin Blake for a little bit.
Yeah.
If you ever seen Caitlin play, wow. In the post, she's not the tallest of kids, and I don't know how she does it, but man, does she score in the post against the trees down there. I watch her, and I want to ask her, how do you score down the post so much? And she just the shot she gets up, it just seems like she knows where she's at on the floor and just puts up great shots. The way she uses the backboard, just the way she knows where she's out on the floor, just putting the ball up is just fun to watch.
Yeah, the court awareness there is always something that really makes that shooting a little bit easier, especially when you're not one of the tallest individuals. When you get into the zone there. But that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, you can find that weakness and pressure. You can find that soft spot and sort of navigate yourself to the best shooting opportunity for you.
Yeah, so, look for the Monarchs, and I think they'll start putting some more victories together here as the season goes on. Moving on, here we go. The Maroon Knights, the Lady Maroon Knights of Wheeling Central. With the game, moved to 12-1. Hey, your bench and your starters almost score the same. You get 26 points from your bench. That's really good to get 26 points from your bench. Then you get 33 points from your starters. They get a victory over Magnolia, 59-41 there inside the Maroon Knight Athletic Complex. And just all these role players, the Addie Pattons, the Haley Severns, the Haley Downer, all freshmen on that team. Played a key part in that role. Peyton, 4 3-pointers, for 12 points. Severns and Downer each had 7 points. Severns, there you go. 6 rebounds. You like the rebounders.
There it is.
You like the rebounders.
It's fantastic, yeah.
And then, you look at Wheeling Central. You got to have that leader. You got to have somebody who can put the ball in the bucket.
Right.
Kira Wilkerson, 17 points. That's a good game.
Again, I know a lot of people like to talk about when you talk about like a single A school that the freshmen are coming in and contributing big time, but we just talked about John Marshall having some freshmen contributing significantly too. So let's not discredit those girls coming in off the bench and making a big contribution to their team. And I know that when you coached middle school basketball last year, you guys scrimmaged a lot of people, and I'm sure a couple of those Catholic teams were there as well. So I'm sure you've seen some of these girls play too. So they were probably pretty tough in middle school.
I do. I know a couple of these girls, and they put in a lot of work. And just with Roberta there coaching them up, and just the way they play is just they play tough basketball. And they're going to be a force, I think, to deal with in that double A now that Central moved down in that 4-class system from triple to double. And I think they might be able to make a little run there in the double A tournament in West Virginia. Can't wait to see that.
And if it's anything to be said, my son goes to daycare right next door at King's Daughters, and it feels like every single time I'm going to pick him up, it seems like there are a ton of girls either coming in or out of that gym. So it seems like they're putting in a lot of work there, getting ready for their games, and it's probably showing on the court here. When you see 12-1, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Those kids are practically living at that gym. I think between the boys and the girls, I don't think that the lights have gone off in that gymnasium there for probably several weeks.
Yeah, they're probably changing light bulbs all the time in there.
Probably.
Hey, and this is a credit. You had Jenna Blaine for the Magnolia Blue Eagles, scored 11, all in the first half. And we've talked before about halftime adjustments and coaching adjustments. You have your score 11 points. Second half defensively, the Central was able to come up, do a couple things differently, and hold her scoreless there in the second half. Another thing that's going to kill you, turnovers.
Oh, for sure.
Magnolia had 26. Central just had 10. So that turnover battle.
Ball security is huge. We talk about it in every single sport that we have. I mean, you got to take care of it when you have it, otherwise you're not going to be able to score. I mean, it sounds like a simple thing to say, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast. If you're turning the ball over a lot, you're going to see why that score began to tip the way it did.
Yeah. So good job to the Maroon Knights. Moving to 12-1 there. Of course, getting ready for the OVAC tournament. How about moving on to some boys action?
Two teams that you guys practically adore.
Yes. Hey, we talk about these teams all the time, and what a game. Barnesville squeaks out a 64-63 victory over Belair, the Big Reds.
That's impressive.
What a great game. Belair's it seems like been in these games all year, these close, tight contests. And, a couple baskets here, a couple baskets there, maybe a free throw here or there. And you look back, maybe a defensive breakdown at one point or another. In these one-point games, everything's so close. And I always told my kids, just 2 points more a quarter or one stop a quarter, it's 8 points.
Right.
Every little thing, even though, you got a longer basketball game, you're going to be scoring some points. Every possession matters, especially in a game like this. Barnesville lost to the Big Reds earlier in the season, and they came back, and avenged that loss to them. Yeah.
I always like when there's a sort of a grudge match coming on. You know how much I like that. I'm a big fan of the whole grudge match thing. It's really impressive with Barnesville. I know you guys practically have a second home out there, in Barnesville, but we also have a soft spot for several people in Belair Big Reds too. So
definitely. And Coach Batista, I know, that's a tough one for him. That 1 point loss, definitely.
Oh, that's one of those things that just keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
I mean, as a coach, it's one of those things that just drives you crazy. You think about it over and over and over again.
Tom and I used to talk about all the time. Would you rather lose by 1 or lose by 50? And I don't think either one of us could really make a determination on what you'd rather do. You don't want to lose at all.
Yeah.
But you lose those close ones, and you pick out every little thing about the game.
Right.
We could have did this. We could have done this, and it eats you up.
I mean, you've heard me say it a whole bunch of times. I think I actually hate losing more than I actually like winning. So
I say that all the time.
I was gonna say I
don't care about the winning part.
I was gonna say
I'm
not sure if I could choose which one of those, because either way I'm still losing.
Yeah.
Because if you're losing by that big, it's is it the Jimmies and Joes or is it the X's and O's? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Tight game.
Tight game.
How about some leaders for these teams? Barnesville. Even scoring across the board. You had Asa Galinger and Duke Costello. Each had 14 points for the Shamrocks. Braden Willis had 13. Casey Carpenter had 11. That's pretty even scoring across the board. That's going to win you some games.
Yep.
The Big Reds. Hey, they were 10-0. Now they're 10-4.
That's a skid. That's a skid.
It is. And just like winning gets contagious sometimes, that you don't know how, you just kind of win.
Right.
Unfortunately, that losing sometimes becomes a little bit contagious, and you got to break that somehow. Whether you have a little competition at practice, just to get them to used to winning something. And I know Coach Batista is going to right that ship over there. He's going to get them back in the W column. But Jacob Dowling, great game with 17 points. Mac Pettigrew, Mason Socher went for 14 for Mac and 13 for Mason Scocher. So,
is Ray injured? Or is he just not playing right now?
No, he just wasn't one of their leading scorers right now.
Okay, because I feel like I haven't seen his name bounced around with Bel Air for a hot second, so I wasn't sure if he was injured or anything.
No, as far as he's still playing, I think when I've seen him play a couple times, and he's more of a defensive player.
Okay, gotcha.
And,
that makes sense watching his football.
Throws out some assists that you like to see too.
Right, awesome.
So you'll see.
I just feel like early on in the year when we had that 10-game win, I feel like we were still mentioning his name quite a bit.
A little bit in the
so
scoring column.
I wondered if a little bit of that might have taken a skid there.
Yeah.
Not dissing Ray. You're our boy. I mean, we're big fans of you here on the Streamcast, but I was curious when I haven't seen him in the stat line for a while.
Yeah, I think it's just, these other kids are playing well. Maybe a little game plan by Barnesville, possibly to hold him down a little bit.
Potentially.
But we'll look for him to come back and make a comeback, and Coach Batista getting him back in the winning column.
Listen, if there was ever an athlete to be endorsed by OV Athletics, it's definitely Ray.
Oh yeah. How about moving on again? It's going back to Marshall County. We're going back to Marshall County, but a Marshall County team. How's that? With Cameron, the Cameron Dragons. Now, they weren't able to come out with a victory over Harrison Central. Harrison Central gets a victory, 68-34. Harrison's pretty good. I'm going to tell you that. They got a pretty good basketball team. They close at the half, and then in the second half, Harrison was able to pull away, led by Hayden Cassidy's 19 and Michael Quito's 14. Lance Hartley for the Dragons led with 12. And I know Cameron's going to get back in the win column, but Harrison's going to win some basketball games this year. A couple tournament games, I believe, at least too.
Right, and I'm not sure if it happened already. I'm not sure when this game actually happened, but I know we had an article, or we were looking in our little bit of research.
This was before
the other Cameron game we looked at. Cool.
So Cameron did get back.
So Cameron did get back in the win column, which is good to see.
Yes, definitely. Zach,
are you about to bowl me over with some stuff?
I am, Zach. We're going back to one of our favorite places.
Tom's like, please spare me from these puns.
Wow, you got a lot of them for bowling, Zach.
So if I keep it,
I like it.
If I keep it up, Tom's gonna split back to Florida.
Hey, do we have any spare?
Don't end up in the gutter.
Do we have any spare stories we can use extra for our podcast? I don't know. Man, the bowling puns are rolling down the alley right now.
Oh yeah,
that was a gutter ball. Oh, how about we go to...
You needed the bumpers up for that
one. Man, but I tell you what, here at OV Athletics, love bowling. Hey, do you know what's coming up, Zach?
What's coming up, Jeff?
OVAC Bowling Championships.
That's freaking awesome.
Okay, so
guys, how awesome is it this year's OVAC Bowling Championship?
And the OVAC is excited about the Bowling Championships. So large, Zach, that they split them into two locations. So we have... St. Clairsville and Parkersburg are both hosting OVAC Championship, and then they flip. So they host, I believe it's Class 1 maybe to 4, and then 5 is separate, and they flip them every year between Parkersburg and St. Clairsville, so everybody gets a chance to see them.
That's really fun.
But the first year they had them, I believe they were all at St. Clairsville, and Dirk told me that it was so packed, everybody was shoulder to shoulder in the whole building. Like, nobody could move. Like, the whole building. So they said, we have to do something about this. So they split the locations.
I mean, when you think about it, bowling isn't really like a rah-rah spectator sport. So it's like...
I don't know. I've seen Kingpin. But I'm just saying.
Damn it. Oh, that was good. I can't even be mad about that one. That was just great.
Our PG-13.
There it is. Sorry, couldn't hold it anymore. But I think we get one in a PG-13, right?
Yeah,
that's the first time I've sworn today.
Yeah.
But no, like when you think about it, like spectator sport, it's not really like there's bleachers, not really like all these other sports we talk about. There is room for spectators. There's always the bleachers, there's always the space in the gymnasium for this. Bowling isn't really that one that lends itself to really being a huge spectator sport. It's like, okay, a couple tables back behind the lanes. So I'm interested to see if this continues to pick up, if we maybe see a little bit of that change. Or do we think they continue going to the local lanes? I mean, I'm curious to see what would happen.
Who doesn't like a local bowling alley? Like just you walk in there, you get that smell going. I would
debate whether you trust the beef enough to get a burger.
I just love the smell, just the feel and smell of a bowling alley. It just makes you feel good.
It really does.
If they could make it into a cologne, I think I'd wear it.
I'm sure you would. But the thing is, like, I'm really curious as to how like this could be more of a spectator thing. Like, there's a couple bars that I've been to before. Like, there's one in Cleveland where they have the bowling alley, and then they have a bar up above it where you can see down on the lanes.
Oh wow!
Like, I think something like that could be something that would be really big for, like, not necessarily putting a bar for a middle school event
or a high school
middle or high school event. Excuse me, but that type of facility, something where there's that elevated piece up above it where you could actually observe it.
Maybe kind of like up at Brook when I was up there for the OVAC swim championships. That's an elevated seating area, kind of overlooking the pool.
And that's a fantastic example. Something like that.
Air conditioning.
The air was on, but I was told it was 100 degrees up there, but I was down on the pool surface. So it was a little cooler down there. I think it was in the 80s. Thanks, Tom, for sending me to the sweat box.
I mean, hey, who doesn't love 100% humidity, right?
Well, Tom, he's in Miami every week. Apparently, he loves humidity.
It's a little bit easier with a cocktail in your hand on a beach.
Yeah. And I could go shirtless. So.
But yeah, so that's always been my thing. Is like, I love that bowling's starting to pick up, but I wonder if the facilities are going to catch up, or if there might be a drive with it taking off in the valley of somebody making maybe something that caters a little bit more to that.
And hats off to OVAC.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And some of these other sports that people might not consider or whatever, but they do a nice job.
And I even, maybe we'll get him on, but Dirk and I spoke at length about adding sports and stuff, and he said people come to them and said, hey, you need to do this, and he loved the bowling, and it's a great event. I can't wait for this weekend. Zero.
Sorry.
He's never had anybody inquire.
Guess somebody I know is going to talk to him about that.
Zero people.
I wonder
because I asked him about it. We got
he's
off
got-
on
he's
bowling,
got-
and now we're talking about lacrosse. That's okay, though.
Moving on.
We're here for
we're good.
sports
Yeah,
in the
we're
High
good.
Valley.
Yeah,
We are.
absolutely.
But I did ask him, and he said, no, nobody has ever said anything to him. And he said, so that's why they never looked into it. He said, if people ask, they'll look into it, see if they can support it.
I was gonna say because
they're
I
willing.
feel like-
They love supporting local athletes, local kids. And if people come to them, he said they love the ideas of adding sport. He said, but if they don't come to them, they don't know that people want to add sport.
because it seems like there's that missing gamut. With like hockey, lacrosse, those sorts of sports. It seems like there's that missing space.
That would be a really nice intro to the hockey tournament this weekend, but
We'll get there. We'll get there.
not yet.
Not yet. Hey,
Not yet.
Is that a cliffhanger?
It might be a cliffhanger or a little
Foreshadow.
or maybe a little plug.
Plug?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get rolling on this bowling.
Every single one of these we make, Tom just gets more and more grumpy. He's like I was on a beach and I got to deal with these jackasses.
Hey, but
That's strike two.
There's strike two.
the turkey's next. So, speaking of championships, we had the Mid-Ohio Valley League Bowling Championships. Mid-Ohio Valley League Bowling
This
Championships.
is so awesome.
Barnesville boys, Buckeye local girls claim the second annual Mid-Ohio Valley Bowling Championship for their respective schools. Held in Woodsfield. The Shamrocks, second consecutive win. Panthers, first team title. So congratulations to both teams.
awesome.
How about on the boys' side? Barnesville rolled an 8-17 to open it up, and never looked back. Total score 3,262, 880 pins better than the runner-up Bellsville. Hey,
Sounds impressive.
It sounds extremely impressive. Yeah.
Barnesville's
I don't know if I
bowling
have
over
the
the
context.
competition.
I don't know if I have the context for this.
I just know 880 points and pins
Sounds a lot.
in anything.
It
It's
sounds
a
like
lot.
I feel like I could go bowl every Saturday for a weekend, and I would have every Saturday for a week or for a whole month,
I wouldn't
and I would
knock
have
over
a
it.
hard time getting to 880.
And that's how much they won by, not how much
crazy.
they scored. So
crazy.
congratulations to Barnesville.
awesome.
Hey, looking forward to seeing you at the OVAC championships. So we're looking forward to seeing them.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
We look forward to seeing Barnesville anywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Barnesville.
I watched your middle school basketball game on before I came out.
Yeah. He was giving me score updates.
That's awesome.
They
That's awesome.
stream a lot of stuff out there. Just thanks to everybody out there and Brad and just everybody that helps us out. They make us feel at home out
I
there.
feel like you guys need like a
We
green.
need property.
You guys,
We need property.
you guys need a green T-shirt. It's got the Barnesville logo on one and the OVA logo on the other.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
You guys could just pretend
So-
it's Notre Dame stuff.
Top four finishers, all Shamrocks. Matthew Hall won the individual championship. He had a 613 series. He had a high game, 256. You're getting close to bowl like a 256. You're knocking them down.
Yeah.
That's strikes. That's turkeys there. I don't know what the turkey and then I don't know what's next.
That's putting down more turkeys than I do at Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is. But hey, not to be outdone, Colton Hall with a 541 and Kevin Carpenter with a 516. Keegan Martin 497. Wow, that's a heck of a bowling team there.
It really is.
That's the guys you want in your league. I'm telling you that right now. Hey, on the girls' side, wasn't decided until the Baker games. Panthers rolled a 450 or 547, held off Monroe Central, passed Barnesville. Which led after the individual. Barnesville led after the individual games.
So you know how I joke all the time about I don't know anything about basketball?
Yeah.
I had never heard the term Baker games until today either.
You haven't heard Baker games in bowling?
Listen, man, my bowling experience is like going at midnight bowling where it's like a nickel to go bowl for the whole time, and then they shut down Foggy Bottom, and I honestly can't remember the last time I've been bowling.
Oh, well, look up Baker games, Zach.
Man,
That was
one of those terms that I hadn't heard.
Kind of like a little overtime, I guess, in bowling. You're
Okay.
Yeah, you have overtime in other sports, but they had the Baker games, all right? So Buckeye Local rolled a 2005-23, just 6 pins better than the Seminoles and just 30 better than the Shamrocks.
Which is crazy, because when we looked at the boys, they won by what, 800?
800, and these are within 6 and 30.
That's impressive.
So
that either speaks to the strength of the field, or...
I think it was a very close matchup. There's some very good bowlers in this tournament. Great job to Cheyenne Baker. She had a 501 series. Buckeye Locals, she beat Buckeye Locals Lizzie Frank by 14 pins. Reagan Campbell finished for Barnesville, finished with a 441. Bridgeport's Emma Pinter, 419. Buckeye Local Haley Brown had a 417. So close, even in the individuals.
Yeah, that is tight.
And Barnesville's Julie Johnson with a 416. So look, those scores are really close. They had some really good bowlers there. And just excited to go out and see these kids compete this weekend.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm kind of upset that I'm sort of trapped at our robotics tournament on Saturday. But we're hosting it, so there's a lot for me to be doing there. But I'm sure I'll be taking some time and looking at your guys' updates that you're posting this weekend.
I'll pin you down some results.
Oh, pin me down some.
Hey, we're not done with bowling.
Not done.
That's everybody's.
There's more to spare.
More bowling. So we got Buckeye 8 bowling championships.
Okay.
Hey, East Liverpool.
I love how many bowling leagues there are. It just makes me happy.
It is. It's great.
It
is, and as I know, Ohio high schools have had it for a lot longer than West Virginia. It's just now catching on in West Virginia.
And I know this was Park's inaugural season, I think.
And they've been playing, they've been supporting bowling in Ohio schools. I want to say for at least 10 or 12 years. That I can remember when I was working at St. Clairsville. It was kind of starting up then, so it's been quite a while. And they were excited about it, and I'm excited to cover it. It's
cool.
It's just cool. Hearing those pins get knocked down, and it's just great. But East Liverpool rolls to some Buckeye 8 titles. They come out, the boys and girls teams both won individual championships. For the boys, they're third in a row. Okay. And then, Harrison Central, this is number 2 in a row for the ladies. So, hey, they got it rolling over in Potterville. It's just, you got to practice, and they do. These practices, some people, I was talking to some people that are starting it at John Marshall, and they said a lot of these kids just showed up and thought, we're just coming to have some fun bowling. They're like, no, this is a sport. This is how we're going to practice. We're going to have scheduled practice. We're going to do this and this and this. And some of the kids, I think, kind of took off a little bit.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of that mentality of it's like I always kind of joke, like golf coaches. It's like, hey, put the ball in the hole fewer times than everybody else. Yeah. It seems like to me like bowling, probably those kids had the same sort of opinion. Like the bowling coach is going to say, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to knock down all those pins. But there's more to it than that. You know what I mean?
Hey, the boards and everything, you got to move a little bit on this board. You got to move a little bit on this board.
But I feel like those kids that probably came out and were like, hey, we're not going to practice. We're just going to go bowling, whatever. They probably had that sort of similar opinion of just, hey, go knock down the pins, whatever. But practice plays into everything here, and it's kind of interesting to think about. Hey, you're going to bowling practice. It sounds like an excuse a middle-aged man would give to his wife to go hide at the bowling alley.
Hey, what a better place to hide. How about on the girls' side for East Liverpool? Addison Rudabaugh, daughter of Coach Ryan Rudabaugh, she had a repeat championship, a 654 for the 3-game series.
Goodness gracious.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Including the best individual game at 237. Her 654, Zach, was the best overall, boys or girls. So bowling really well.
We talk about coaches' kids being successful in football, basketball, volleyball, any other sport. Why not bowling?
Definitely bowling. Yeah. Hey, Harrison Central, like I said, came in second. Not, about 300, a little more than 300 pins behind. East Liverpool, a little dominant there. But the Huskies still placed a couple on the all-tournament team. You had Erica Emhoff, posted a great game, 176, 482 series. Lauren Best had a 445 series, and Kimmy Basic had a 441 series. So, good job to the Huskies out there. Union locals, Brienne Barbs, 434, just outside of the top 6, finishing 7th. So good job to her too. So some really good bowling out there in the
Tight field
for the Buckeye 8. On the boys' side, Nate Kelly, another back-to-back winner for the East Liverpool on the boys' side. Not back-to-back, sorry, second time. He finished as a runner-up last year. 228.
1-2-1, still not bad though.
No, not too bad.
Not
Not bad at all. He had a 228. Second best game of the afternoon for the boys, and behind a 256 from Beaver Locals Logan Wolf. He didn't falter though. He came back and scored a 630 series over Wolf's 625.
That's
so that
close.
was close.
That's close.
Definitely that'd be great.
Listen, I have some friends that are such bad bowlers. They probably would just barely edge out a bowling match 30 to 25,
Like 30 to
let
25?
alone 630 to 25.
I don't like you talking about my bowling game like that. Hey, here's some Huskies. So we had some East Liverpool Potters. Here's some Huskies. Seems like they have some programs rolling there at East Liverpool and Harrison
real.
Central for their bowling teams. Chad Veers had a 585. Kobe Hennis a 565. So right there, right on pace. St. Clairsville, Sebastian Lewis 559. Martins Ferry, Walker Romshak 458. Just edging Union Locals Mason Porter. So great job out to our bowlers there, Zach.
I mean, it's so cool. I feel like I'm not adding enough depth to the conversation, but I just think it's so stinking cool that there's high school bowling, and that's such a big deal.
How about maybe if you're looking for a bowling trip, Zach? You're looking to go on a bowling vacation. How about going for see for yourself? Say, hey, I want to go on a bowling vacation. I want to go bowling on a vacation. I want different bowling
I
alleys.
would love someone to pick up the phone and challenge see for yourself on, hey, I want to cruise with a bowling alley.
Zach, knowing them at See For Yourself, they're going to say, yeah, try harder to challenge us. They're going to say, here's where you're going, and you're going to do this, this, and this. We've got your time scheduled already at the alleys. Here's what lanes you're on. Go get one of the pin beers in the beer bottle. They're going to have it set up for you. It's already on ice. They're going to say it's already on ice. So you better get there.
Yep.
So they're going to have you set up. Hey.
That might be my favorite ad read you've ever done, by the way. That was fantastic. I wasn't sure where he was going with it. If I had to give a rating on that, that's a 10 out of 10. That was fantastic.
I like it.
I mean, it's an absolute strike. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Hey, if you're going to have an incident like you're going to get Roy Munson, you may want to call Lori Gazelle first. Get some insurance because nobody wants to.
For those of you playing along at home, that's the second time that he broke me today.
You don't want to get Munson out in the middle of nowhere without insurance. Call Lori Griselle and just say, hey, I'm going on this great bowling trip, but I need some insurance.
You don't want to get Munson on the way to Barnesville.
Yeah. So call Lori. She's going to set you up with some great insurance. And Zach, those balls are pretty heavy. And if you want to pick up a lot of heavy balls, you're going to want to go to High Valley Nutrition. Your protein powders, some of your peanut butter cup, some brownie milkshake. Lift those heavy balls and roll them down the alley.
Would you store them in a sack?
Yes. Your ball sack.
This is it. This is what we've degraded it to. We were a respectable program for 14 episodes.
Thank you to all of our sponsors. We'll be right back, Zach.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?